Hi, fourth grade. I know we didn't get to study as much as we wanted to for history, so I'm going to be making a little bit of a review video for you to watch, just to test your knowledge on how well you know these, and then afterwards you can take your test. All right. You may take your test. Well, let's go over some different things. Let's start with the map, page 241 and 242. This is the one that looks like this. Okay, so we're gonna go over some terms. Can you tell me a large area of salt water, smaller than an ocean and partly enclosed by land? Oh yes, as soon as you hear salt water, you know it's a sea. What about the one, a part of body of water smaller than a sea, reaching into the land with a wide opening? It is the bay. And then we have the third one, a part of ocean or sea that reaches into the land, smaller than a bay. It is Gulf, like Gulf of Mexico. What about an inland body of water, usually fresh? Fresh like a lake. A lake is fresh. Where does a river begin? That's its source. What about the land deposited at the mouth of a river? That is in a triangular shape like delta, delta, delta. We also have a narrow body of water connecting two larger bodies of water. And it's the deepest part of a river. You can think of that as like the TV with the channel. Now, what's a narrow man-made channel? This is a canal. A land too dry or too cold to grow many plants. That's a desert. Now, in the middle of a desert, you might find a desert area that was made fertile with water. This is an oasis. What about a raised area of the Earth's surface, larger than a hill? This is a mountain. What about the lowland between mountains? This is a valley. What about a long row of mountains? This is a mountain range. And then we have, what about the level of the ocean water? The level of ocean water is sea level. All right, and the height above sea level is your altitude. How'd you do on those? I hope you did well. Now we're gonna go over some people. Let's start with some quotes. Remember that little brown box that I told you to go over and put stars by and highlight and all those different things? All right, so we're going to go there first. Who said, "Give me liberty" or "Give me death"? That was Patrick Henry. Who said, "The British are coming. The British are coming"? This is Paul Revere and William Dawes. Who said, "I have not yet begun to fight"? This is John Paul Jones. All right, who said, "We resolve to conquer or to die"? This is George Washington. Who said, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country"? This was Nathan Hale, and he was a school teacher in Connecticut. So some of you might be doing your little report on Nathan Hale. Nathan Hale's home. All right, well, that was our little box of quotes I told you to remember. Now let's go over some places. All right, now if you could keep these in your mind, like you have people, you have places, and you have different things. So we're going to start with places. What was the place where hunger and cold were the major enemies of the people? Hunger and cold. Now I think about our history terms and like a low point of hunger and cold. This is Valley Forge, okay? Valley Forge, hunger and cold. All right, it's also where my best friend used to live. So Valley Forge, and that's hunger and cold were the biggest enemies. Where did they have a surprise victory over the Hessians? The colonists had a surprise victory over the Hessians at Christmas time. Don't forget it. Remember, I said it's where I live in the summer. I'm from New Jersey. It's Trenton, New Jersey. All right, this is where the first battle of the War for Independence took place, where they were yelling, "The British are coming! The British are coming!" This is Lexington and Concord. Okay, this was where America didn't win, but they showed that they were a tough army to be defeated. Now, Joshua, I'm sure you're getting all these because you were getting all of those the other day. This is the Battle of Bunker Hill. This was the turning point for the War for Independence. Now, Maya, I can see your face, and I know you already know it. It's Saratoga, the turning point of the war. And you always think of your mom, which is very cute. The Saratoga. Now, this is the place where they surrendered. They waved the white flag. They surrendered at Yorktown, okay? This is where they surrendered. This is the fort that was captured by Ethan Allen. Evan Alley. This is Fort Ticonderoga. Fort Ticonderoga. Now, if you are having trouble with these, I would make sure that you watch this again until you're familiar with these, but make sure you're going over these. Now, this is at the end of the war, after Yorktown, they were given this area to settle in by the British in the Treaty of Paris. Now, this one's a little bit harder. This is the Northwest Territories. The Northwest Territories. All right, we've gone over all the places. So, if you don't know your places, go back and watch that part again about all the places. Now, we're going to go over different types of people. Different types of people. Who were the German soldiers hired to fight against the British? I mean, the colonists. They were hired by the British. It was the Hessians. Now, we had two types of people. Which were the people that were with England and they wanted to stay on England's side? This is, they want to remain loyal. They are the Loyalists or the Tories. Which group want to be free from England's rule? This is the Patriots. The Patriots. Which one said, we could be ready in a minute's notice? This is the Minutemen. Who were the group of people that were chosen to make decisions for the group of people? This is representatives. Representatives. Which were the people that... the nicknames for the British. We had redcoats or lobsterbacks. Okay, and I think we got all of those. Now let's go over some things. What is money that people pay to help run the government? If you said tax, you are correct. What was the unfair law that really angered the colonists? This is the Stamp Act. The Stamp Act, and you should be able to tell me about the Stamp Act. Tell me everything you know about the Stamp Act. It was a tax that was placed on different things like tea, and it angered the colonists because it was unfair. All right? What about the Boston Massacre? What can you tell me about the Boston Massacre? The cruel killing of many people at one time. That's a massacre. It's where five colonists were killed in Boston, and some British soldiers shot, and 5 colonists were killed, including Crispus Attucks. All right, what can you tell me about the Boston Tea Party? It's when a group of colonists dressed up as Indians, and they dumped 342 chests of tea into the harbor. What can you tell me about the Continental Congress? This was a group of men who got together and decided what they were going to do about England's unfair treatment. They were called the Continental Congress, and I know Anthony knows that one. All right, so what was the agreement that ended the War for Independence? What did they sign to end it, giving the colonists their victory? This is the Treaty of Paris, signed in Yorktown. What do we call the holiday where George Washington gave the flag to Congress? This is Flag Day, yes. What about John Paul Jones's ship? It was the Bonami Richard, or you could say the Bonhomme Richard. All right, and they defeated the Serapis at that time. All right, I think we've gotten, then we have signed July 4th, 1776. This is the Declaration of Independence. All right, now I think that was all the things. Now we're going to talk about the people. Who was the King of England at this time? Who gave all the unfair laws? This was King George III. All right, who presented our flag to George Washington? She sewed the flag. This is Betsy Ross. All right, who was the Black Patriot that was killed during the Boston Massacre? Crispus Attucks. Who was known for saying, "Give me liberty or give me death"? Patrick Henry. Who warned that the British were coming? Paul Revere and William Dawes. Who captured Fort Ticonderoga for the British and was with the Green Mountain Boys? This is Ethan Allen. Ethan Allen. All right. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Just kidding. We can't say it because Joshua. We're not going to say it. All right, Joshua, you happy? Okay. Who is the president of the Continental Congress? He was John Hancock. Who was a commander-in-chief called the father of his country and... he was called the father of his country, and he said, "We resolve to conquer or to die." This was George Washington, who was a spy who gave his life for his country, saying, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Nathan Hale. All right, now this is a hard one. Who is a soldier who captured British forts in the Northwest Territory? He captured British forts in the Northwest Territory. His name was George Rogers Clark. All right, so you have to think Northwest, George Rogers Clark. Now in the South, remember that guy we had with the Southern accent? He's the American general who fought the British in the Southern colonies. Remember, his name is Nathaniel Greene. So we have Nathaniel Greene in the South. We have George Rogers Clark in the North. Okay, so George, you can use your accent. We have George Rogers Clark in the North, and we have Nathaniel Greene in the South. All right, now he was the British general who surrendered to George Washington. Lord Cornwallis. Okay, so Mr. Cornwallis. Cornwallis. Okay, that was his name. He was the British general who surrendered. And he was the brave sea captain who said, "I have not yet begun to fight." John Paul Jones. Well, guys, I think we covered all the people. If you didn't know that very well, I would watch this again and keep studying until you're ready. But you're going to be taking test 6. I hope that you do your best, and I'm sure you remember all the things. But study if you haven't. Take the test, do your best, and don't forget to post. Love you. See you later.